Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Israeli soldiers and settlers have killed at least 11 Palestinians across Gaza and the occupied West Bank, according to Palestinian officials and local media, in the latest bloodshed during a ceasefire announced in October. In Gaza, at least 7 Palestinians were killed in a series of Israeli attacks, including a child who died from injuries sustained days earlier. In the West Bank, 4 Palestinians were killed, with 2 fatalities occurring during an attack by Israeli settlers on Al-Muhayir village, east of Ramallah, and 4 others by Israeli forces. The article highlights specific incidents, including the death of a 16-year-old in Hebron, who was struck by a vehicle escorting an Israeli minister, and a Palestinian woman killed by Israeli naval forces shelling tents in northern Gaza. The violence continues despite a ceasefire and severe restrictions on humanitarian aid in Gaza. Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera's podcast, The Take, delves into the U.S. withdrawal from Syria, ending a 10-year military presence. The episode features journalist Natasha Danan and explores the multifaceted consequences of this decision. It examines the impact on Syrian Kurdish forces, who were key allies in the fight against ISIL, and the subsequent shifts in regional power dynamics. The podcast also discusses the heightened tensions and complex negotiations that are shaping the country's future, considering the implications for Syria's stability and the broader Middle East. Listeners can gain a deeper understanding of the strategic, political, and humanitarian dimensions of the U.S. exit and its ramifications for all parties involved. 6 people, including a retired major general and a serving police inspector, have been charged with terrorism and treason in Nigeria for an alleged plot to overthrow President Bola Tinubu. The charges were filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja by Nigerian authorities. A 7th suspect, former Biles State Governor Timipre Silva, who is accused of concealing the plot, remains at large. The government had previously denied reports of the coup, but later announced military trials for several officers. These charges come amidst a backdrop of increased military takeovers in West and Central Africa, attributed to factors like disputed elections and security crises. This alleged coup plot is the first such attempt against a Nigerian leader in over 2 decades, since the country's return to democracy in 1999. Al Jazeera reports that European Union foreign ministers are currently debating whether to suspend a key trade agreement with Israel. This discussion arises from mounting pressure over Israel's conduct in Gaza and the occupied West Bank, with nations like Spain, Slovenia, and Ireland advocating for a review and potential suspension. They argue that the EU must uphold international law and human rights commitments, particularly in light of alleged human rights abuses by Israel. The association agreement, in effect since 2000, grants Israel preferential access to EU markets and features a human rights clause. Article 2 as its core. Critics contend that Israel's actions, including a 2-year conflict in Gaza that has killed over 71,000 Palestinians and escalating settler violence in the West Bank, violate this clause. A UN inquiry last year found genocidal intent in Israel's actions in Gaza, and the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli leaders. However, the EU remains divided, with countries like Germany, Hungary, and the Czech Republic reluctant to take drastic measures, preferring critical dialogue. Public pressure is also significant, as demonstrated by the Justice for Palestine European Citizens Initiative gathering 1 million signatures, compelling the European Commission to respond. The European Court of Justice ruled on Tuesday that Hungary's regulations restricting or prohibiting access to content related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and other LGBTQ groups violate EU law. The court stated that these measures stigmatize and marginalize the affected populations. This decision, reported by Reuters, comes at a significant time for Hungary, as Peter Magyar recently won a landslide victory in the April 12th elections, ending Viktor Orban's 16-year rule. Under Orban's government, LGBTQ rights in Hungary have faced setbacks, including a ban on pride parades last year and the use of facial recognition technology to identify participants. While Magyar previously held positions within Orban's Fidesz party, his stance on LGBTQ rights has been less explicit during his campaign, making this European court ruling a potential indicator of future social policies. Source: Lianhe Zhaobao. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.